I think we might have a leak. Well, here's the next project up on the lift. That's a '03, I believe, Trailblazer. We were trying to do a little work to it, fix it up some, in exchange for something pretty exciting that you guys will see. You'll definitely see. I'm pretty pumped for it. But yeah, so got her up on the lift. It was actually a pretty big task going and getting this thing. And then it fired up and we were like, oh my God, this thing's great. And then we looked at my trailer and my floor, and the fuel has somewhat dried up. You can kind of see it, right, that big area there. So it has a very active fuel leak and a very active, we believe, transmission fluid leak. It looks pretty red to us. We haven't really looked at it yet, but today's task, let's see what we can do, huh? That's what we're gonna work on.
All right, like Andrew mentioned, we've got a Trailblazer on the rack. It's got a wicked leak. Our first idea is just start tracing the tranny cooler lines. We have a feeling, because we've seen this before, that the little heat shield wrapping stuff that they put on there, water gets like inside of that, and then just sits there, and then the tranny cooler lines rust. So
really, any line rusts if it has that heat shield line, like his eye on the
fuel lines.
If you saw that video, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But that was all due to heat shield wrap.
Yeah.
It was only rusted in those areas where it was wrapped.
So our idea is cut that stuff off, see if we can find the hopefully just pinholes, and then game plan from there.
Yeah.
Wish us luck.
Queso.
Dad's watching. That was wishful thinking. So you can see, we were thinking where we cleaned off right here, we were thinking maybe if we could find a pinhole, we could just get a little MIG, tack a couple of little welds on there and plug up the pinhole. We've had success with that in the past, actually, on a Ford Escort. But as we started inspecting further, when you start tracing these tranny lines, I think you can see through here maybe.
They look like complete garbage up in here. Can you see that?
Yep.
So there's no real,
They look really wet up there too. There's here, point over at this drip that's about to drip from the fitting. Yep.
right here.
Yep.
And then even where they go into the radiator, don't know if we'll be able to make you see this or not, but up here in this connection,
Yep, right there.
you can see how terrible all that looks.
Yes.
So this is obviously, and
And it's all wet, and I'm sure you can see just everywhere is wet. And as you saw, the puddle underneath the car, and which we didn't get on film, unfortunately, but when the car was running, it's not just coming from one spot, it's like profusely spewing from a lot of spots.
Yeah, it's like the whole underside of the engine is spraying
All kinds of stuff.
like fluids galore.
ATF, gas, the whole 9 yards. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's looking like the tranny cooler line, or well, yeah, the transmission lines, they run up here to the bottom of the radiator, get cooled. I don't think it has like a separate cooler. I don't know.
Doesn't appear to have a cooler, but
Correct me in the comments.
pretty sure the radiator cools them.
But anyway, looks like those are going to need replaced. So,
We're gonna start researching that.
and maybe try to diagnose the fuel leak.
Yes.
So that might be what you see next. Okay, so we moved to the back of the car, and it didn't take long to see that there is indeed a pretty massive fuel leak. Exhibit A. As you can see, it appears that the leak is coming from above the tank, so that's awesome.
Somewhere up in there.
Yeah. So I guess our next step, and we're just doing this a lot lately. Guess we're gonna drop this tank. So we got one thing going for us, and then it's almost out of gas.
Yeah, it's the fuel light's been on. The gauge isn't even registering any fuel in it anymore. I'm surprised it started the last couple times we started it.
Yeah. Here's all the fuel.
Yeah, all the fuel is
On our floor now. So I guess we'll fire up a montage of us dropping this tank out of here. We'll try to show you each step. Wish us luck.
What the hell is happening?
We interrupt your regularly scheduled montage because, oh my gosh. You
was-
probably just saw, or maybe are seeing right now, a clip of we've been fighting that fuel filler neck. And here you can kind of see why. All that corrosion. But we didn't get it on camera, but what finally got it loose for us was me legitimately hanging on it, pulling as hard as I can. We sprayed as much WD-40, screwdrivers and picks, and wedged them in there, and then sprayed WD-40 down around it. And then Andrew had a screwdriver wedged
Top.
up at the top in between the hose and the fuel filler neck thing.
So we had every bit of Caleb's
60 maybe on a good day. Probably more like 55.
hanging on that hose, and I was prying out of the screwdriver, and finally it let go.
Yeah, so, wow, that sucked. But onward and wayward, back to the montage. All right,
How about that?
she's out.
We pulled another gas tank,
Yeah.
and it looks like garbage.
So, as you can see, this looks terrible. We think this, you can see that I'm just
Scraping
scraping.
layers away.
Yeah. that's probably at least some of the leak. So you can see that it's been leaking for a while. These lines are just laying in fuel. But everything else other than the hat, as you can see, the rest of the tank actually looks pretty dry.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. The tank looks dry other than the epicenter, basically, of where we think the problem child is. But this kind of puts it at a standstill, right? I mean, we've uncovered a couple problems. We know now that there are tranny lines leaking pretty profusely.
Yeah, like we mentioned, we're doing this as an exchange of work for a drivetrain
drivetrain goodies, right?
Drivetrain goodies for another project on the channel. So for us, this puts us at a standstill. We've uncovered the problems. Time to call the owner, let him know what's going on, ask him what he wants us to do, and you
spending a little bit of his money.
Yeah. So you guys
fix some problems, but yeah, you guys will. We're gonna be waiting for a little bit, but I think you guys will find out
what we end up doing pretty much
now.
Right now. So.
Matt, man, I think it may have had a bit of a leak. What do you think? Did this have anything to do with it?
Look at that. That is ridiculous.
That's one piece, Matt, eventually.
There you go.
Now she's back up in the air again.
Yes.
It's only been a split second for you, but it's been almost a week for us.
Yep, it's the next weekend. We talked to our uncle. We're fixing it. That's good. She's got plenty of life left in her.
Talked to old Pops and got some parts.
Yeah, Dad works for a parts store, so shout out Dad. And well, let's show you what we've got here. We've got some new oil and transmission fluid because we might as well do an oil change while we're at it. Got a filter. We've got the transmission cooler lines, which is the primary thing that we have to do, which hopefully won't be terrible, but it looks like it's gonna be pretty fiddly. And then the as you saw at the end of the last clip, we've got a fuel pump housing and tank ring.
Yeah, the cap ring thing to hold it all together. Yeah.
Fuel tank lock ring.
Yeah, there it is.
So, we've got parts. We've got crusty old stuff that needs to come off. And we've got a Friday night, so.
We've got a Friday night.
Rock and roll.
Let's get it done. Alright, you saw me get frustrated. I couldn't get the clips off. The way they're supposed to work, they slide around in this groove. I'll actually show you on one of the new ones because these old ones are brutal. They, over time, have welded themselves together with corrosion and rust. So I got frustrated and cut the lines, which no biggie. You know, we're replacing all 4 transmission cooler lines. The new ones come with new hardware and clips and whatnot, but it's the last time I'll be able to do that though, because the way they, you know, we need the connections that are on top of the transmission. It's kind of a bummer where they are because it's impossible to see and have your hands in the spot at the same time. So it's going to be like, look and see what you're doing, stick your hand up in there and try and do it by feel with a pick or whatever. But we'll see what we can do.
Well, as we feared, there is no real vantage point to be able to see what you're doing. This is a lot of just kind of guessing and trying to get those clips off. You can kind of see Andrew's hand up in there. We're just taking turns going back and forth, trying our luck. But not much to film here, so while one of us struggles with that, I think maybe the other one, might as well go ahead and start trying to replace this fuel pump. So maybe I'll set you up so you guys can see me start working on that while Andrew just really enjoys himself over here. Wish us luck. Okay, that was fun. So
That's your definition of fun?
yeah, all of these lines are out now. All of the tranny cooler lines. Like, I think we filmed a little quick clip of like, okay, Andrew's gonna play with this for a while. There really was no secret, right?
Right, yeah, no, there was no secret. The clip. So here, let's see if we can find the clip end.
Basically,
There's no clip end on here.
he dremeled them apart because these were too corroded together.
Yeah, there's a clip end that's supposed to work.
So cut it off on one side. The side on the radiator came out easily out the top.
Yep.
The longer lines to the transmission, those were the toughies, and you just finagle and twist and pull and prod until they finally come out.
Here's the probably the worst leak.
Yeah, you think so? I know we didn't get a good shot of the waterfall of fluids coming out of this thing because honestly it scared us. And
As soon as we saw how badly it was leaking, or like,
so maybe
I've never seen fluids evacuate a vehicle so quickly.
yeah, and you might have an idea looking at that what we're talking about. That is crazy. So yeah, it was time for these to be replaced. So we got those out. You saw me struggle with the, oh, I think it's over here. Sorry, we're walking around. This is going to be really shaky because I don't have a gimbal. But the fuel lines were so corroded onto the top of the hat that it ripped off the hat before I got the plastic lines off the edge, or off the fitting. So that was crazy.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, that looks actually really good. Nice.
There you go.
So then you saw me put them in the vise and pound them off with a vise grip and a hammer. And then, of course, it separated the little, presumably whatever helps it seal, and left that behind. So then you saw us WD-40 and pry that off with screwdrivers. But basically, we think we have all the pieces apart now. The old fuel pump and assembly and housing and stuff is out. There's the old lock ring. We've got a new one. We've got a new one. Got new ones. I think it's finally about time to start
New parts.
reassembly.
New parts.
Here we go. Well, as I'm sure you've come to expect on this channel, it is not going smoothly. Everything is fighting us tooth and nail.
Did you take it all the way out back here? Sure about that? Any ideas?
Friday night has rolled into Saturday morning, but we have a gorgeous morning this morning. It's unseasonably warm, so we've got a nice day to be down in the barn fighting this thing. So where we left off, we were trying to get the tranny cooler lines in the Trailblazer. We finally got them kind of snaked into where they go, but we are just struggling to get these things to clip into place. I think I'm gonna take a break from that and maybe start trying to just position the tank, because we still gotta put the gas tank back in, and we've got a tranny fluid and oil change and whatnot for it when we're finally done with all this stuff. So I think I'm gonna take a break from the trans cooler lines because I think we're both just very frustrated with them, and maybe I'll start trying to put the gas tank back up in there to feel like we're still making progress. So hope you're still hanging around, wishing us luck. Let's get back after it. This is the face of a man who's enjoying himself.
You don't even know. Can you see up in there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Rest assured that we're still fiddling with these transmission cooler lines.
These stupid cooler lines.
In case anyone else is actually trying to do this, we're not a tutorial, but just to show you what we did, this is where we fed them through. Actually feeding them in there.
I got it.
Oh, he got it.
I got it.
Actually feeding them in there isn't bad, but getting them seated and clips on them, that is very bad.
Yeah, this is not fun at all.
I'm gonna take you up top, show you. There. Oh, can you see? There it is. This is where they clip together. And these are the lines from the bottom. You can see that they're flared right there. Those legitimately just press into the other end. And then on the clips into the radiator, go down the ladder here. From the end of the radiator and into the transmission, they have these little black covers. Those just slide back. And there's a little retaining clip. It looks like this. Ooh, there it is. That's all there is to it. They're simple. It's just a real pain to get them all lined up. So, no secret. Just keep finagling and tearing your forearms up on the transmission pan until you get it.
It's awful. I don't recommend it.
It's really terrible. If you don't have to do this, don't do it.
Yes.
On to the next.
Whew! Right? So, it's been a lot. We really hope we got the tranny cooler lines in for the last time. All the clips, we're pretty sure, are in place.
And it really was no secret.
No, it just sucks, man. You're gonna end up with bruises and cuts and scrapes and lots of curse words mumbled under your breath. But you know, it is what it is. You do what you got to do. You saw us, I believe, do the fuel tank. Caleb started that one on his own while I was still messing with the stinking cooler lines. He was able to do a whole project within the project and then come back and help me finish the tranny cooler lines. But now I think it's time to drop the tranny pan. We're gonna clean the magnet. We're gonna replace the filter. Hopefully, no real damage. I mean, I don't see why there should be any real damage. The vehicle is just sitting for so long. The only time it got drove was off my trailer and onto the lift. So
You saw the trail that left.
yeah, you saw the trail that left. So yeah, we'll get to doing that.
Somehow, this thing has been leaking on us the entire time. I'm not sure how there's any ATF left in this thing, but it's been raining on us nonstop. So we're kind of afraid the dipstick tube might be leaking, but let's drop the pan and see what wonders await us in there.
This. It needs to go that way. Yeah, I mean, I can get like a crescent wrench or something and bend it.
Yeah. Getting heavy.
Sorry, I'm running. Didn't foresee that.
Oh, baby.
I'm running. Okay, here's where we need multiple pans. Okay. Looks like you didn't get the seal. Nope.
What happened?
It just wasn't coming and then it came.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Feels good.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Looks good, right?
Yep, thumbs up.
All right. What are we trying to do?
Well, I think we mentioned it. This thing has been, even before we took the tranny pan off, this thing's been leaking on us the entire time we've been working on it.
Yeah.
And it was the dipstick tube that's leaking. So right now, we went ahead and popped the tube up out of the casing or whatever you want to call it. And right now I'm trying to get the seal off of it so that we can replace it.
There's probably no getting a shot of this.
You can kind of see it from this side. Yeah, so there's this rubber grommet looking thing, and it just slides over the tube and through this hole, and that's what seals it up. And that's what, well, one of the things that was leaking.
At least, yeah. So, trying to slide that off the end of the tube and see if we can't. Pretty sure we found one at an auto parts store for 89 cents. So, hopefully it's the right thing. We'll let him get back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he was close to getting it.
We are oh so close.
So we're back.
Oh, yes. Just got it.
Look at that. Does she look like she's been leaking for a long time? Looking right into the light.
Oh, is that better?
Yes.
There we go.
Look how gross he is.
Definitely a leak.
Yeah.
All right. Pardon the background noise. It's raining. But Andrew's Andrew's cleaning out that dipstick tube mounting hole thing. 89.
Technical terms.
Yeah, technical terms. 89 cents. Bought us a new
Dipstick tube grommet thing.
Yeah, this is the old one. Here, let me see if I can aim you down here. Oh, I dropped it. There we go. That's the old one, which you can kind of tell is in rough shape. And an 89-cent replacement.
$10 in gasoline for the parts store trip for an 89-cent part.
Exactly. So, I think the next steps are clean this up, get the dipstick tube back in there, put the new oil or the tranny pan gasket on, and button her up. Then we'll show you what came out of the pan because it looks pretty gross, and we're kind of excited to see what the magnet looks like.
Transmission fluid, huh?
That's supposed to be red?
And somewhat viscous. Jiminy Christmas, it's like water.
I don't know if you guys can see that. Just, yeah. That does not feel good. She was unhappy, so good thing we're doing this. This really doesn't look bad, guys. A little bit of goop in the bottom.
Goop.
A little bit of goop on the magnet, but to be expected.
130,000?
Something like that. Nothing real big or scary yet, so that's good. I mean, I drove in here, so there's a little bit of a chunk. Anyway. Set you guys up on a time lapse. Watch us clean this thing up and get her ready to go back in. Rock and roll.
Um,
Gotta get gas in it.
what are we doing, Caleb?
Trying to put a little fuel in her. See if she'll start and run. I think she will.
Not sketchy in the slightest.
I'm OSHA certified, don't worry. Hey, what do you think? As you guys saw, she's purring like a kitten.
She's purring. She's not spewing fluids.
Yep, I think Andrew walked you around underneath.
I mean, kind of sorry for that footage, but I was nervous and excited, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm filming."
But yeah, no leaks. She's running great, and I think we're gonna call that. Time to open up the garage and drive this thing down to the gas station.
Yeah, hopefully we make it to the gas station.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think down below, and we hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya. It has been a blast. We appreciate you watching.
Yes, as always. And if you want to support the channel, feel free to give us a subscribe.
Right here.
And if you want to see more of the project we worked on today,
Move it over here.
and if you want to see any of the other ill-guided automotive antics on the channel,
Click his gut.
or potentially here.
Right over space.
Thank you guys as always for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.